Trwają Mistrzostwa Świata w piłce nożnej, jesteśmy w Miami, ale transferowy rynek w Europie i na świecie nie śpi. Rozmawiamy o tym, co dzieje się na transferowym rynku, ale także jak wyglądają kulisy takiej pracy pomiędzy mundialem, a właśnie największymi transferami z naszym przyjacielem Fabrizio Romano. Hello Fabrizio,
hello, my
nice
friend.
to see you in States, in
My
Miami.
pleasure.
Partnerem kanału Meczyki jest Superbet. Super oferta, super promocje i super aplikacja. Superbet. Jednym słowem super. Partnerem kanału jest Media Expert, dystrybutor mistrzowskich telewizorów i projektorów marki Hisense, oficjalnego sponsora Mistrzostw Świata w piłce nożnej FIFA 2026.
The World Cup is underway, obviously, but you also work on the transfer market. Tell us, why are you staying in Miami? Why did you choose this place? Because from what I know, you stay here from the beginning of the World Cup.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your time. Yes, I decided to be here just because I had to be in the US a little bit for some games at the World Cup. I wanted to be here, and on the other side because of the time zone. So basically, the only way to keep up with the time of the games and still survive some hours is to be in the US. So it was impossible to be in Italy. So I decided to come here. It's a perfect place to be, and a lot of football people is here. Many agents. I had the chance to meet with agents, directors over the days. So it's a good opportunity to see legends, football people from the industry, and to keep up with the schedule.
That's what I want to talk to you about, not only about the transfers itself, but how do you cope here, how do you work here. The distances between stadiums are obviously huge, the time zones are different, so I have to ask you at the beginning, how many hours you sleep a day? How is your work schedule? How does it look like to be a Fabrizio Romano in US to deal with the transfer market?
You know, I don't like to speak about that in a negative way because I still feel very lucky. It's
Tell the
football,
truth.
it's the World Cup, it's transfer window, but I'm very tired, to be honest. I'm very tired because every day I go to sleep, I still remain on the European schedule. So basically on my phone there is the European time, not the US time. So I go to sleep around 8 a.m. in the morning, Italy time, and I wake up at 11, so maybe those 3 hours, and then during the afternoon, it's still Europe time, morning US time, I try to sleep maybe 1-2 more hours. So maximum in total 4 hours, 5, so it's not easy, but still beautiful.
Yeah, we are in a beautiful apartment in Miami, obviously. But do you go out very often, or are more often on the phone with agents, with football people? How does your day look like besides the sleeps?
Just staying inside this place where I am, inside this building, and work. So on my phone, post, call, tweet, record the videos. So I do everything from here. Maybe sometimes I go outside just for the meetings with some football people or with some legends, some activation with brands. So I have the possibility still to meet some people here, but 90% of the time is inside, working, calling, texting, posting, so no stop.
So basically, if not the World Cup, you could be easily in, I don't know, Milano, Warsaw, London, everywhere.
Wherever, for sure.
Just with your phone, yeah?
A good Wi-Fi and some water, then I'm fine.
Yeah. And there was a story, I think, before the World Cup that you had some story and you were in the air, lost the Wi-Fi, no connection.
Yeah, while coming here there was no Wi-Fi working, so it was not easy at some point. It's the day that there was the story of Julian Alvarez's official bid from Real Madrid. I knew that, so I was suffering even more because I knew that Real Madrid were sending an offer, so I had the feeling that something was going to happen. But you know, you are up in the air on a plane, and so you can't control that. So I was hoping for any changes, but nothing. Then at some point it returned, and it's fine because I knew that story was going nowhere. It was just an official bid, but was not developing fast.
Yeah, so someone basically posted, when you were in the air.
Yeah, I asked one of my friends to post from Facebook to Instagram because my Instagram access is for no one. So it was a bit complicated, but we made it.
Okay, so maybe tell us a little bit about this Julian Alvarez story, because obviously Real Madrid, this was just a bite, yeah? It wasn't a true offer from Real Madrid to Atletico.
It was a strategy, I think, from Florentino Perez. So obviously he's a Galactico, he's a top player. He had the possibility to go there and bid, knowing that Atletico Madrid were not going to sell the player to them at that point. So I think it was also a smart move to drive up the price for Barcelona and to create even more trouble around the player and Atletico Madrid. So I think it was a strategic move. Then from that moment, it's now almost 3 weeks. Real Madrid, from what I heard, completely disappeared. Let's see if they return. Never say never in football. So I don't think you bid without wanting the player. Maybe in that moment was part of the strategy. So let's see later on what happens, but in that moment was part of the idea of the president.
Yeah, Argentina played Austria, and after that game, Julian Alvarez said some things. Was it a part of strategy, do you think, that he wanted to come up a little bit to
shake,
to spice up, to speed up the situation?
I think in this kind of situations, Julian is not the first player to do it and will not be the last one. So when you want to leave a club and to make a move, sometimes these kind of situations happen with the player going public. So I think he wanted to send a message. He tried to be respectful for 1 month without saying anything. Then at some point he wanted to go out to send a message to all people, because someone started to doubt the position of Julian. When you are not going public for weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe the feeling could be, okay, are you really interested in leaving, or maybe it's just media talk. So I think Julian wanted to confirm his desire. Then we also have to respect Atletico Madrid, because Atletico have a contract with him and can say we don't want to sell the player. So it's part of the game, in my opinion. I think Julian wanted to send a very clear message.
So do you think it's his dream, because he was talking about his dreams, is Barcelona, or he just wants to leave to bigger club to win trophies?
The reality is that he wants to go to Barcelona, 100%. Julian wants to go to Barcelona, and that's 100% confirmed. Then, if he's not going to be able to go to Barcelona, sometimes in life you have to decide for something different. If you still want to leave the club, I think it's going to be very difficult for Julian to stay at Atletico Madrid after what he said. So in case this move to Barcelona is not happening, I think he might consider other options. As of today, end of June, he's still saying Barcelona, Barcelona, Barcelona. Then end of August or end of July, we have to see.
There are some rumors also about Arsenal. I don't know if you heard about it, and I know that you posted about Gyökeres linked with Atletico, so it all makes sense that there may be some connections between the players and the clubs.
For sure Arsenal love Julian Alvarez, for sure, that's 100% guaranteed. Then what I can say is that Arsenal wanted to approach Julian to understand if there is room for negotiations, and the answer was Barcelona. Thank you, but I want to go to Barcelona, I don't want to come back to England. So this was the message from Julian. Then again, if Atletico will not open doors in any way to Barcelona, let's see what happens from now to the end of the market. Maybe for Arsenal could be, and for Atletico could be, part of the strategy to arrive to the end of the market and say, okay, if you want to go, there is this bid, it's up to you.
Yeah, but Atletico says they don't want to sell him to Barca. They have to pay transfer clause, but do you think it can happen in a different way besides transfer clause? Or
at the moment from Atletico they say absolutely no, and we have to respect that, because Atletico position in public and in private is very strong. Then sometimes in the market, you know, when a player wants the move and he can try to push again, and maybe big money are coming with a new bid, because 100 million euros were never going to be accepted by Atletico, but maybe they can offer more. Let's see what happens. As of today, I can tell you that it's still not something that I feel can be resolved with Barcelona in a few days. It's still very, very cold between the clubs.
Okay, but if you'd have to make a projection, is it going to happen this summer, or?
I am not into this kind of things, because I
You're
cannot.
Not a wizard.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask Julian Alvarez if was Julian sitting here,
yeah.
I think he doesn't have an answer, I'm sure. Because this really depends on Atletico and on the next 8 weeks we have in front of us. So I'm sure that Barcelona will try again. On this I can sign to you that they will try till the very end. Then it's on Atletico, and Atletico are very strong on this one.
But yeah, you already dropped one, Here We Go, which was very strong. It is Elliot Anderson to Manchester City. 116 million pounds, which is one of the records in the world, top 3. How do you see this transfer? It's a big money for a kid from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I think in general the market is going completely crazy. What I was commenting with my friends is that obviously in England, or us as journalists, we all know Elliot Anderson, but out of England probably there is many people, maybe in Italy, maybe in Spain, maybe in Germany, maybe in Poland. If you put Elliot Anderson in the streets, they don't even know him. So in the past, when you were going to spend big, crazy money, it was for players like Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, all the world know them. Now the market is driving price crazy for players that maybe many people don't even know. I'm not talking about England, of course. And it's not disrespect for the player. I think the market is just driving prices very up for everyone. So it's becoming difficult. In this case, I understand Man City. I understand Man City because Rodri is going to leave. If it's not this summer, it's going to be next summer. For Man City to have a top leader in midfield after Rodri era is too important. They wanted to give Maresca new coach after Guardiola. It's going to be difficult to arrive after Guardiola. So to get a leader in midfield he wanted was too important. And then don't forget the point, he's English. And to find English players in the market means you have to pay always 20, 30 millions more than probably the normal value. So all these factors for me make sense to spend 116 on a player you really want rather than spending 70 or 80 on a player maybe you're not 100% convinced.
And this is a typical World Cup transfer, like being made during the World Cup. Tell us a little bit about behind the scenes. How does the transfer is being made during the World Cup, and how do you handle it during the World Cup? Because it's going very fast. The medicals are being made in New York.
Yeah, it becomes...
How does it work?
It's faster than the usual process because of the medical. When you can do the medical in 5 minutes, because you are already with the training sessions with the national team and then with the medical staff, it makes the process way faster. And this was the case also for Elliot Anderson. Like in 24 hours, you can do everything. You don't have to travel, wait for the authorization and all the rest. It's way faster. So on the journalistic point of view, it's more complicated because you have to be on point, you have to be ready. For the club, sometimes it's difficult because maybe they agree everything, but to communicate with the player, it's happening now with Nico Paz, it's happening with Gonzalo Ramos to Milan, it's happening with Elliot Anderson. To communicate with the player, you might have to wait a little bit more. So, in terms of timing, it's completely different to normal transfer window, but I think it's part of the fun. For a journalist, sometimes, for me, what's surprising, like in the case of Cucurella, is that the stories can come out of nowhere. No one is saying anything, because I think many journalists are focused on the World Cup rather than on the transfer window, and so you can keep the story.
So how can you explain it? Out of nowhere means what?
I mean, in these cases, I think many journalists, who for me are top journalists, maybe they are here in the US, working on the games, working on the lineup, working on the World Cup games.
What's going on in the team?
Yeah, you don't have the same control you have when you are in the headquarters of your newspaper or your TV. So the control is different. Maybe you're more tired. Maybe the time zone is different. You lose 50% of the European day. So the control of the news is different. That is where you can make the difference. Like sleeping less hours and try to be still competitive can get you news like the Cucurella one, which for me was incredible. I couldn't understand why no one had the news from England, from Spain, from the national team with players talking between each other. For me, it was crazy. So good.
So can you tell us, how did you get the story? Not exactly how did you get, but was it like maybe the time zone because you were here? I don't know.
I think it was depending on the fact that many journalists were not expecting the transfer to be this fast. Maybe you can get an information, there is movement around Cucurella, there is something happening, but maybe you don't expect the news to develop this fast, closed in 24 hours. So that made the difference to me. I think many didn't have this feeling. And then again, when I was checking the news and I was 100% sure, for me it was like Christmas, because out of nowhere you get a gift like this, Chelsea, Real Madrid, the national team from Spain, fantastic.
And always with Real Madrid, the numbers on your Twitter are crazy, yeah? The Jose Mourinho announcement was how many million?
I don't know.
I think 300 million, something like that. One of the biggest tweets in the history, yeah?
Yeah, one of the best, and also in this case, I think it's not just Real Madrid, it's Mourinho Real Madrid, because Mourinho is the manager. I think, maybe in the last few years, he was not the same level as before as a coach, but what he did in the past and what he did in football history remains the special one. And so when you mention Jose Mourinho and then Real Madrid, the mix was an absolute bomba. So for me in that moment was still feeling very, very special. And from what I heard, he was also aware of these numbers. Okay. So for me it's still special to see the special one
so
being
he felt
aware
special.
of this. I think yes. I think he feels that still after so many years, after so many years to see you are still the most powerful name in the industry as a coach, together with Guardiola, with Klopp, those 2-3 names, feels special.
Are you, Fabrizio, seeing already the impact of the World Cup on the transfer market? The names that they are growing, that the interest because of the World Cup and the games is growing up on some names?
Yeah, I think it happened with Morocco, for example. Morocco are the perfect example. Bayern were negotiating for Saibari even before the World Cup from PSV Eindhoven, but then after the first game they said let's close the deal immediately, let's not waste any time, we have to close, and they closed at 55 million euros. Probably if you wanted to do the deal 1 month ago it was going to be maybe 40, now it became 55, but if you wanted to buy the player tomorrow after 3 games it was going to be maybe 70 or 80. So the market is creating an impact on the prices, and then also on the young talents. Boadi, Yan Diomande, these players are doing fantastic, and the price is driving up and up and up after every game. So the James Rodriguez effect is still there.
Yeah, it's just one game and you can go like 10, 20 million up, yeah?
It's like this. Or maybe the clubs, for example, Red Bull Leipzig, they can say, let's wait to sell the player, let's keep the player for us, and then maybe in 1 week, in 2 weeks, the price can go even higher. So.
And with Jan, is it like Liverpool very close to the transfer?
They made a bid, 100 millions, rejected, they will return, so I'm sure Liverpool will push like crazy to sign him. It's not going to be easy, because Leipzig really want to keep the player and offer him the chance to play one more season in Germany. So with Leipzig, Red Bull Group are very tough. When they decide it's no, it's no. But Liverpool will push again. I think it's going to be a big battle.
I'm interested if you were following like all those reports around Rafinha. Obviously, he's injured.
Yeah.
But there is this second story in Brazil that he has some problems in terms of financial stuff with his father. And did you try to check it?
No.
To check the facts? Or
no, because this is very private, and I will always respect the players, their family. They can do whatever they want with their money. So I will never ask, it's true that you have financial problems. If he wants to say something, he will say, but me, it's his own business.
Are you seeing the impact of the fake news, or, like in the World Cup, how to say it? Environment, like a lot of fake news is, I think, around X, around Twitter, that you have to be very careful with what is being reported. Are you seeing this, that it's growing up very fast?
Yes, also because of the World Cup, the whole world is watching every single game, every single player, so it's even more. I'm already used to that, to be honest, because we work in transfer market and we know many times there are fake accounts, fake news, fake stories, so it's complicated to control. With the World Cup, even more. So yeah, I can see, unfortunately.
Are you fighting with like deep fakes and stuff? Because I've seen so many stuff with your face. You know, it's basically almost like the real stuff. It's
difficult to explain people. I have many people like directors, president, agents who send me screenshot and say, why you say this? I say, look at the name of the account, it's not me. So many people maybe don't have the time to check. They see a screenshot, they go in panic, and you have to lose time to tell them, look, it's not me. It's not easy.
I see like the crazy number of reels, shorts. Last few days, it's more fake accounts than you.
True.
So you are trying to fight with this, or it's impossible?
There is nothing to do. To be honest, there is nothing to do. I always say, just come to my account and you can find everything. It's easy. I'm not having like different places where you can find my news. Just come to my account and you can find everything. But many people still fall into the trap sometimes.
Were you surprised with the Italian market is good because Nico Pass is going to Como and he's staying at Como. Bruno Guimaraes, as you said, going to AC Milan from Paris Saint-Germain for 70 million. The Italian market is restoring. It's
investing very well. I think signing important players, Gonzalo Ramos, Nico Paz. I'm very happy Nico Paz is staying in Italy because he's one of the best talents in the world, and Como did a very good deal. So I think it's the beginning of this refresh for Italian football. I'm happy. I'm sure there is going to be more because there are clubs like Napoli, Juventus, Inter, Roma who are yet to enter the market and soon will be part of the game. Milan with more, so I'm sure it's going to be very interesting.
And I also wanted to ask you about Robert Lewandowski because we're still waiting for his decision. He came to Chicago, to US to check how the things are in the club, in the city. Your feeling, how will the things work out for Robert in the next, days, weeks?
I think it's still the most likely option to go to Chicago. The offer is there on the table, 2 or 3 years, as he wish. Now it's going to be on Robert. We can only wait. Many people ask us, I'm sure also to you, when he's going to decide, what he's going to decide. In this case, he's with a free agent who can decide whatever he wants. Any moment could be the moment. So the offer is there. I'm sure Chicago are waiting for him. Chicago wanted Neymar. Chicago wanted De Bruyne. They always wanted a superstar. Now have the chance to sign Lewandowski. So I'm sure they're going to wait. And then quite soon, I think in the next days, there is going to be the answer.
And what do you think Saudi market is so slow? Because you have, for example, Mohamed Salah also, which is like obvious target for the Saudi market, and it's nothing at the moment. I think nothing is happening.
I think because of the World Cup on one side, so obviously the World Cup is making everything slower for this kind of players, and then also because in Saudi in general they are still waiting to understand the budgets and everything. There have been 0 signings in Saudi so far for Al Nassr, for Al Hilal, for all the big clubs. So at the moment it's gone quiet, but I'm sure the next weeks is going to explode for sure.
So at the end, I wanted to ask you, how are you enjoying the World Cup itself? How do you rate it? How do you see it until now? How would you?
Fantastic. I'm a big fan of this World Cup, to be honest. All the big stars are scoring. All the games are very open. There are no boring games so far. I'm looking forward also to see, these kind of games like Norway, Ivory Coast. Not just the super teams, but also these mid-level teams who can, I think, explode at this World Cup. So I'm a big fan of this one, to be honest. The only problem is with the time zone, but we will survive. I love the games for sure.
How many stadiums have you seen live?
3 so far.
Miami?
Yeah, we did New York and we did Boston. So,
Dallas? No?
And Dallas, sorry, yeah. And then we
Amazing
were going
stadium.
to the stadiums here are fantastic. It's a pity not to see Atlanta yet, because all people tell me go to Atlanta. Every time I play a PlayStation with Atlanta, I see the stadium is amazing with the fire, so I want to be there one day.
And Los Angeles, everybody says the final should be in Los Angeles. So can we say that United States
For stadiums and
they
infrastructures
came
are
up with
top.
the very good World Cup?
Top. In terms of stadiums, fantastic.
And your prediction when we see all those superstars delivering, Messi, even Ronaldo, Dembele, Mbappe, Haaland, everybody scores, Vinicius. How do you see the World Cup in the knockout stages? Who's your favorite?
Wow, it's difficult to say. Yeah? For me, France
No
are the
Italy,
best
no
team.
Poland, so...
For me, the best team is France, by far. So they are the clear favorites. But I still believe that there could be surprises. So I'm not putting all my trust on France, because I believe that at the end of the day, they are the clear favorites, objective, but subjective, I think there could be some surprise. So let's see. I'm sure Portugal can do very well. They didn't start well the first game, but then they develop. I think there is going to be movement. My hope is for Brazil. Because of Carlo Ancelotti, because of the Italian job of Carlo, and because I love Brazil as a country. I feel they deserve finally to have some joy at the World Cup, so let's see.
So if you have to pick one,
Brazil.
I pick one, Brazil. I pick Argentina, so we will see.
Good.
Fabrizio Romano, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Live
my
from
pleasure.
Miami, guys. Thank you very much and see you soon. Dzięki bardzo. To była rozmowa z naszym przyjacielem, transferowym guru Fabrizio Romano. Dzięki, zostawcie nam łapę w górę i komentarz. Do zobaczenia.